I don't know why, but every time I'm on Zoom,
Mhm.
like I kind of lag out. So I'm sorry for that because
Mhm.
honestly, my internet should be fast enough to like keep up with this, but sometimes it just glitches out and then it says connection unstable.
Oh, okay. No, that happens to me too. It's really cool. Okay, so I'm gonna hit record and then I'll introduce you and pass the mic to you.
Okay.
All right, welcome to the Make It interview series. Today I'm interviewing Alejandro Jimenez. My name is Tara. So, Alejandro, could you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you went to school, and then tell us why you picked your major.
Okay, so a lot of people can't really say Alejandro, like I realize that. So if it's easier, just call me Alex. Like people at work, they call me Alex too. It's just short and simple. But anyways, yeah, I'm enrolled in California State University, Monterey Bay. Um, Senior year, I expect to graduate by spring 2021. Go Otters. And okay, so I'm basically majoring in sociology and minoring in music. Um, at first it was just sociology because I was transferring out from CSU Fresno, and back then I was basically like driving back and forth from Salinas to Fresno, which is about 2.5 hours of drive. I would go each week coming back and forth for a whole year and a half. The reason being was because I slept in my uncle's living room, and like he told me we were gonna get an apartment, such like a bigger apartment. Never happened. So I started getting tired of the drama, and then next thing you know, one of my uncles that lives there too, he started bringing in his family because I guess he was kind of like separated with his wife, and then I guess they hatched things up, and then it started getting crowded. I'm like, man, I need to get out of here. So yeah, that was in 2017. And then I started speaking with an advisor from CSUMB. I asked him, hey, I know you guys don't have political science because that's what I majored back then, political science. And he said, yeah, we have to. We have to accept your units. And I told him, okay, cool, cool. Sounds good. But next thing you know, I spoke with an actual advisor because this advisor was actually a student counselor for from the financial aid department. And I spoke to the actual social behavioral sciences advisor, and he said not all of them are gonna transfer. Only about eight to 12 units. And I was like, man, so I got to start all over. He's like, yep. So from there, I began majoring in sociology. You know, I just tried to keep my hopes up, but like I found it more intriguing than political science, honestly, because in political science, I guess I was trying to understand how politics works, how it affects people's behaviors. Back in community college, uh, I was majoring in administration of justice to understand the criminal justice system better. And now I'm studying sociology to understand how social institutions affect human behavior. And honestly, out of the three, sociology is my favorite. Like I really love it. Like just learning about new things, being exposed to all these all the literature and such. It's just mind blowing. For instance, Evicted, which was one of the required readings for my classes, Marriage and Family, and another one. I learned so much, like the poverty with African Americans and Hispanics is still really bad. It takes place. It's an ethnography um, taking place in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and you would have the poor blacks living in the north side, and then the poor whites living in the south side in the little college trailer park. And the author discovered that most of these guys don't even want to live with the black people, so racial discrimination is still well alive. In fact, my capstone research, which I need to complete before I graduate, is based on racial inequality. And the stuff that I found, the articles, the available literature work, it's just mind blowing. It's just wow. Like in health, in policing, especially housing, employment, it's still well alive. It's just well hidden, and that's why like that's what drew me into sociology too. Like answer these questions that I still have. How well alive is racial discrimination and such, and which social institutions still discriminate? It's called systemic racism, and it's still well alive. As for music, um, throughout my whole time going to college, I've been, making music, writing rap songs here and there as a hobby mostly, because I didn't really see myself that much really going into it until, my friends who encouraged me to basically like keep writing and such. They really liked my music, so I was like, all right, I feel good. Let's keep going, then let's see where this takes me. So here I am.
That's you have quite a journey. That's crazy that you had to commute so much. And then, I mean, I think that's awesome that you took the leap. You're like, well, this is what I got to do, going to the new school. Um, that's funny that I haven't read that book, but I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Like, that's where I am right now. Um,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, it's definitely like, I guess apparently one of the most segregated cities in the US. And still segregated today. And I agree with you. Like, how much of it is hidden? I think that in today's world with like social media, you can't really hide anymore, which is good. But it's tough. So that's amazing, like the work you're doing. Is this something that you've always wanted to go into? Like when you were younger, did you know like what you wanted to do growing up? Was there anything else?
Well, honestly, I mostly saw myself as, as long as I can remember, I've always been really intrigued with music. I love different type of genres. In fact, when I was like 5 or 6, my mom used to record me and my siblings like dancing to all these music that they would be playing, like because my parents, they're first generation immigrants. So when they were discovering all these music, funk and the oldies and all that stuff, it's like, wow, this is great music. Why haven't we heard about this before? And then you see us, me and my siblings, just dancing on the bed, and yeah. And then I would often like daydream too, like whenever I would go to school, listening to the radio, I would daydream about being a famous singer and such. But you know, as I realized, my voice wasn't as like didn't sound like theirs, so I was like, maybe this is not for me. So from there, like I was intrigued with as early as maybe 8 or 9 years old. I used to watch those advertisements from the military, the Marine Corps, and I don't know, something about it just appealed to me. I was like, oh man, I want to be like him. I want to be in that uniform, this and that, and that's what I saw myself doing after high school. I didn't really like school. I did pretty bad because, like, again, um my parents are first generation, I'm second generation, so I didn't really have that much support or help with schooling and such. So I kind of did pretty bad. In fact, in high school, I barely graduated with a 2.2 GPA after I was locked up, because honestly, if it wasn't for my family support, I would probably still be locked up. I would probably still go deeper into gang life and such. But I thank them and I feel blessed. But anyways, yeah, I barely graduated with the 2.2 GPA, and after my time in juvenile hall, that's what really woke me up and to the realities of like the high incarceration rate for juveniles, especially Mexican Americans. I was just thinking, like, how did we all end up here? Like, that's what I wanted to really and find the answers to, and that's what kind of like guided me in college and what I wanted to major in as well. So, yeah, it eventually led me to sociology, and here I am. Like, wow, so much information, so much. Like, it's just sometimes it's overwhelming, and it's just like, what do I do with this? Well, I can combine it with my passion of making music, bring social awareness, give back to my community.
Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. I love that you're connecting the two. And it's great that you bring that up because I don't think a lot of people realize that first generation or second generation immigrants or children of immigrants like don't, even if you're in America, you still don't have the same privileges that generations of families have that have grown up here. And it's great that you were able to take that experience of juvenile hall and kind of like using it to add perspective and kind of decide your major. So I'm excited that, you know, you're kind of bringing both the things that you care about and like together. Um, that's great. So now that you're in your major, um, and you're in sociology and you're minoring in music, what are some things that you've really liked about the curriculum? And then maybe some things that you didn't like and would want to like change or add?
Oh God. Okay, for sociology, um, the things that I didn't like would I would start off with some of the professors because like I don't know, I feel more motivated as a student to learn about the material if the professors are more I guess energetic, or they give more positive energy to it, not like, okay class, this is what we're gonna learn for today, and it's just like, what, man, this is boring. Like, if you're gonna be talking like that, no one's really gonna be paying attention. So luckily though, like there are some of those teachers, but there are also some of those teachers that are like relaxing and not too strict about stuff, and I respect that. Like, I like you're trying to retire already for the next few years. I understand. But anyways, what I also loved about the curriculum though is like the different backgrounds that these teachers bring. It's really interesting, and the materials that we learn, it's just like really fantastic to like, especially with this new professor that we just got, I would say exactly last year, Dr. Toga Teskan. I think he's of Middle Eastern descent. I could be wrong, but I didn't really ask him for his ethnicity, but this guy was really, like at 8 a.m. in the morning. Everyone's tired. They're like, "Oh man, got dragged out of bed to this," and then he's like, "Good morning, class," and then we're all waking up like, "Whoa, okay, we're at time to learn." So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just with the professors, it really matters, like the kind of energy that they bring in, which can potentially motivate their students, like myself. But yeah, for music, I would say what I don't like about the curriculum though is that uh, they're really short on like students. Like, I guess because like a lot of times when I register for these music classes, they would end up being canceled even without notice. Like, I never got a notice. Like last semester, I signed up for vocal training, to like improve my singing, and some other classes too. And three of them got canceled, so I had to like uh find new classes to replace them because they didn't have enough students. But what I like about the curriculum though are, again, the professors, like the knowledge that they have. And my all-time favorite music professor is going to be Dr. Jeffrey Jones. It's funny though, because the first time I heard his voice, he sounded exactly like my former coworker slash buddy, Paul Garcia. I used to work at Northridge Mall. He still works there. But yeah, as soon as I heard his voice, I'm like, Paul, is that you? And I was just laughing in my head because they both sound alike and they kind of look alike too. And I kind of, at one point, I did go to my professor and I told him, "Hey man, do you want to meet my friend? He kind of sounds like you." I want to see how that conversation plays out. It's just funny, but yeah, he's great. He has like a great sense of humor, just like my friend. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna really enjoy this class, despite it being very, very challenging because it was a music theory class and I knew nothing about music, right? And I'm just like, what the hell's a circle of fifth and this and that? Like, what's a sharp? And I would have to, go to his office hours just to like get clarification. And it's great that he was always welcoming his students, and he was always, dedicating that time to helping me and my buddy Chris out too. Like, we were two Mexican Americans that didn't know stuff about music theory, and we were pretty close to like dropping out, but I'm glad we didn't. He really helped us out. Like, we both ended up getting an A in that class. So yeah, I just feel like for me, it's like it all depends on the professors and on how they teach and the energy that they bring in.
I'm definitely with you there. Like it can be make or break with professors. It's a hard job, but also it's like, yeah, like you
Mhm.
said, the more energetic or engaging the professors, the more I'm like, okay, like let's talk. Like I'm ready to learn. Um, that's super cool. That's so funny that he reminded you of your friend. Um, what small world, right? Um,
Yeah.
so, and then what are some other experiences that you've had in college, maybe outside of the classroom that have kind of shaped who you are and what you want to do today, whether it's extracurriculars or just anything else you've had?
So when I first considered going to college, I didn't know what to expect in high school, right? Senior, I never thought about college before. I never took the SATs. I just completely ignored everything that the teachers were saying about college. I was like, it ain't for me, you know. I don't give a shit about school. I'm gonna go in the Marines, but yeah, I got locked up. The Marines don't want me back. I mean, I passed all the required exams, the ASVAB, and all that medical stuff. Um, but yeah, so one day, this guy he comes into my class, actually two of my classes, and he's basically introducing to us. He's like informing us about this program at the Harnell Community College called Trio Student Support Services, and he was explaining how they helped second generation immigrant students or first generation college students, and all the resources that they have. And when he said he was a Marine, I'm like, okay, I think this is the guy. I think he can really help me out. Like, I want to get back into the Marines too, and I want to see what he has to offer me. Right? Excuse me. So, not even, not even at the beginning of the next semester, right? After I graduated, like during the summer, I already went to visit their office, and I told them, "Hey, are you guys accepting applications?" And they're like, no, not yet. It's not the beginning of the semester, but we appreciate your enthusiasm." And to this day, like the director, his name, the guy that went to speak in my class, his name is Manuel Bersamin. To this day, he likes to brag about me being trio student number one, because like I took the initiative to go out there and apply already. Like I was one of the first people to apply that year. And yeah, I did. I'm proud. And so going back to the question though, basically I spent a lot of time at Trio, in between classes, even after classes, because I felt very welcomed in that environment. Like, it was so decorated, it was so colorful, and there was always food too. So yeah, I mean, they were always like feeding us and such, and they were really caring people. Like, you would have I guess you could call her the secretary or reception, Eva. She was like the mama bird of the program. And then you had the two counselors, Norma and Nancy. And then of course you have the director, Manuel Bersamin. It's not that big of a place, but it's still like, if it felt like home, my second home to me. So I spent a lot of time there. I did my homework there and such, and I would often engage in some of the workshops that they had and all that. And honestly, like, if it wasn't for them, I would have dropped out of college too, because like there was at one point where I kind of like, I was super busy that I completely forgot about this one midterm paper. And I was like, oh man, I feel bad, what do I do? And I went to them for help, and they told me, let's email your professor and just explain what happened and see if he's willing to work for you. I'm sure he will be. And as it turns out, he's like, yeah, go ahead and turn it in late. I won't dock you for any points. So I ended up getting an A on that. And I felt like they were like the pillar to my academic success. It was really great having them there. And ever since then, to whatever school I moved to, CSU Fresno or CSUMB, I'm still enrolled in Trio, because I know I can always count on them, like I did with the ones in community college. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in Trio, and if it wasn't for them, yeah, I wouldn't even be here.
That sounds like an incredible program. I'm so glad that you were able to stick with it like throughout your college career. That's
Yeah,
that's not like having a second home, I think, is so like necessary when you're going through college. Um
yeah, definitely.
that's great. Thank you for sharing that with me. And then another question that I like to talk about is um going now that you're approaching graduation and that you've had these experiences in your studies, uh what do you want to do post grad, or what do you see yourself doing in the next few years, or the big things that you'd like to do?
The big things that I like to do, well, after I graduate, I plan on going to graduate school, and I want to concentrate in Chicano studies. I want to learn more about that because I feel like CSUMB. I'm taking one class right now called Sociology of Latinos, and I'm getting exposed to all the literature and all these guest speakers that my professor brings in, Dr. Armando Arias. He brought in Armando Rendon, the author of Chicano Manifesto. This guy was there when United Farm Workers was barely founded, and during the movements, and he was one of those people that said, "Hey, I should be writing this down. Like this is history right here." And sure enough, like yeah, Chicano Manifesto came. He published. Um, it was basically the Bible for Chicano movement. And I'm like, wow. And then he keeps bringing in each week these guest speakers. I'm just like, wow, it's great meeting these guys. You would think that they're like famous, whatever, celebrities, but they're like normal people. Like they just act like you and me. And it's great to like see that because like how they say, never meet your role model. Well, I'm glad I met these guys. I mean, I didn't know it, but these guys are basically my role models because these guys were like the founding fathers of Chicano movements, and it's great. So I want to be like a Chicano role model too, because most of these Chicano rappers though they claim to be Chicano rappers. Sure, they're Chicano, but they don't really speak about Chicano or the ideas of it, and they just talk about gangster stuff and all that. I mean, it's cool, but promoting too much violence is bad. It makes the community look bad. So I kind of want to set the example as a Chicano rapper, and I want to like publish scholarly work so I can be both respected in the music industry and the social sciences, and that's what I hope to achieve when I get my master's. Maybe I'll even pursue PhD. Who knows? We'll see where this takes me. Like when I was in CSU Fresno, they were telling me my trio counselor. He was telling me like, "Hey, you have really good grades. Have you ever thought about going to graduate school?" I was like, no, I don't want to. I mean, I'm already getting stressed enough with this school stuff, but like now that I've really found something I'm really passionate about studying, not just music, it's like, yeah, I think I can go at it a little longer. Like, so that's what I see myself doing. On top of that, aside from academics and such, I also want to either sponsor or start my own nonprofit organization, so I can put more Mexican Americans to work. And I would like to see less Mexican Americans working in the fields, because it's just like this is all they know. And I want to offer their kids like more, and kind of like create like a pathway to getting better jobs. So, and that's what I'm kind of learning with Goodwill, because Goodwill, they employ the unemployable, right? People, other employers that they don't want them, like Goodwill takes them. And it's great seeing that they're giving these people jobs that no one else would give them. And that's what I kind of want to do with the Mexican American community.
I love how important the Chicano movement is to you, and how um, you gotta tell all sides of the story, like you said, like not promoting too much violence, but share like the whole story in all parts. And that's great that Goodwill, like I think this is good timing. It's kind of like a stepping stone and experience into like what you want to do next. So that's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the universe is like looking out after me. Like before even applying to that job, I applied to another job over at some hospital, and something weird happened between me and the guy, like because my friend, he told me about the job. And this I applied back late July, got the interview, killed it, and he called me back and like offered me the job. But like I was kind of like sleepy at the time, so I missed his first call. And then he was trying to explain to me like, okay, so this is what we have available, and I was just asking questions for clarification. And then I say, all right, I'll take the job that you offered me. And then he's like, you don't sound too excited. let me call the next candidate because and then he just like I was still trying to process it. I was like, wait, what'd you say? And then he just clicks on me. And that was really unprofessional on his part. And my friend ended up writing a report on that. I told him about it, and then it went up to his supervisor to his boss. But it took almost a month to like get me rescheduled for the interview again, killed the interview again. And then sure enough, they were trying to like call me back for another job offer. And then I just called them back and I told them, listen, thank you for the interview. I'm actually gonna go apply with this other job. Like, and then he said, okay, cool. And then, we just ended the call and here I am. Like I feel like it happened for a reason. I feel like everything happens for a reason for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that when we pay attention, we realize like the universe and things like are happening for a reason. And even if it's not how we planned, it's still working for us. So
Yeah,
I love your like dedication and perseverance. It's just um I think it's inspiring, and it's like super cool for me to see you just like keep going, keep trying new things. Um so thank you for sharing that with me.
of course.
So the last question that I like to ask is, what is a piece of advice that you want to give students? And think about the students that are just graduating high school, maybe don't know what they want to do yet, or undecided majors. What is advice that you would give to them?
My advice is this: you can only go so far by yourself, right? So you have to have that network of support, whether it be your family, your friends, or for me, it was, TRIO, Student Support Services. I encourage those to not just apply to just one. There is also sometimes EOPS, Equal Opportunity Program, that helps students out. So in doubt, whenever you're in doubt, you'll have at least that one person to go to, right? Because oftentimes I feel like the reason why people drop out is because like they don't have that support. They don't have someone to talk to about their concerns and all that. Like you got to understand, college has a lot of resources, right? So say for example, if you're depressed and such, there's a counseling center for that too. So you just got to reach out. You just got to keep these things in mind because you're graduating from high school, you're entering the real world, and the real world, no one's going to tell you what to do. You have to basically kind of figure things out. But if you have that support, it makes it a lot more easier. You'll be less anxious, less stressed. Like you always have someone to lean on. And for my I always leaned on Manuel Bersamin. And he's actually a kind of a he's a really good singer too. He actually loves singing that song "Lean on Me," and I'm just like when he sung that, I was like, "Woo, man, he got vocals." But yeah, I mean, yeah, we all need that person to lean on. You just gotta identify those people that you want to, and it's always good to have that support because, like I said, you can only go so far in life.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think, and definitely, and now too, with like quarantine and whatnot, people are so alone, and people feel like a burden for leaning on people, or they need to be alone. And it's good to hear that, like, it takes a village, and community is good, and having those close people to lean on is just like it's so important. Uh,
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much for sharing some of your story today and for sharing advice with the students. I really liked chatting with you, and I'm excited for other students to hear your journey as well.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Mhm.
Anything I can do to like encourage other people to succeed, because remember, life it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. Go at it. Go at it on your own pace.
Yes, I totally agree.